Hey, you remember me? You owe me 2 shillings on the jiffy.
Come, my lord, a little coin? Oi! Good evening, Dr. Gibbons.
Dr. Watson.
Did you keep the cane we spoke of last time?
I was going to sell it tomorrow, would you believe, having not heard word.
Could you tell me what type of pill this is?
Yes, we have those here. It's not really a medication. We give them to patients with chronic respiratory conditions like tuberculosis.
Do you have any formalin here?
No, definitely not. They have it in university hospitals to conserve anatomical specimens in jars. But in a little clinic like mine, we don't keep anything but bad memories.
Did you have a patient by the name of Annie Chapman, the woman killed 3 days ago?
Indeed. She came in the morning of her death. Poor woman.
Did you give her these pills?
Yes, now that I think of it. She actually came in twice. The first time I gave her an almost empty container without making her pay. She came back during the day and said she dropped the container and stepped on the pills. She wanted to know if I could give her more again without paying. I refused. After she left, a patient who was there told me that he lives at the same place and confided that she had been lying. He saw the pills fall in the tenement's communal kitchen, but the woman immediately wrapped them up in a piece of paper.
Where did this paper come from?
According to this man, she'd found it near the chimney in the kitchen.
Anyone could have thrown that paper there. That envelope can't have anything to do with the murder.
Pardon, Doctor?
Nothing. I was just talking to myself. Well, farewell, Doctor.
Goodbye, Dr. Watson.
I must retrieve Sickert's cane at all costs. I have nothing to ask. Good evening, Mr. Solomonovich.
Good evening, Doctor. What a pleasure to see you again.
Have you finished converting the harnesses?
Yes, just now. I got a little behind because of all the commotion.
Commotion?
Don't you start. 3 days ago, the very afternoon that you passed by, there was a chase throughout the neighborhood. Hundreds of people were chasing one man, claiming he was responsible for the murders these last few days. Schmonz! It was awful. I hope those maniacs didn't catch him. Better the police should.
Tell me, did John Pizer turn himself in to the police?
Things unfolded as they should. Look in the newspaper, the Daily News from today.
Farewell, Isaac.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Daily News. Os assassinatos em Whitechapel. Há boa razão para a aceitação pública do maníaco. A teoria deve ser apoiada e incentivada. Atualmente, existe um perigo real da transformação dessa teoria e a opinião de Whitechapel parecer completamente diferente. Rumores improváveis contendo os piores elementos de fantasia estavam incitando o ódio dos judeus a ficar mais abominável do que é e causado pelo fanatismo religioso. Na sequência das investigações policiais sobre as circunstâncias da morte de Annie Chapman em Whitechapel, vários homens foram presos ontem, entre os quais um judeu polonês chamado Pizer, preso não muito longe da cena do crime. Pizer foi solto ontem à noite.
Tell me, is it...
Out of the way, I don't like the look of you.
I have nothing to ask. I have no reason to go that way.
If you have the means, I can let you pass before everyone. But behind me.
Yes, Doctor?
Here are your harnesses, Doctor.
They are top quality, I'd say. Definitely worth the price of this walking stick. Here, it's yours.
Well, farewell, Doctor.
Goodbye, Dr. Watson.
I must go to Miss Bella's.
Can I get a refill, please?
These paintings are suggestive, at the very least. Good evening, ma'am. Your door was open. Isn't that a little dangerous?
Hello, Doctor. Don't worry, if the looks of anyone who enters doesn't please me, me and my pistol know how to convince them to leave.
I found the cane that was stolen from your client. Here it is.
Doctor, you are a real saint, I can see that. I'll finally be able to present my bill to this damned painter. If by chance you see him, tell him that a little surprise awaits him here.
You told me you would give me some information on this Dr. Tumblety.
Agreed. He's a Canadian or an American. He parades from time to time through the neighbourhood in a 50-guinea suit and acts like a doctor. But for business, he isn't worth it. This damn Yankee hates women. The few times that he was approached by the girls, he spit on them, all the while hurling insults. It would seem that he was hunting for the bad boys. He's looking for trouble, that animal.
Does he frequent any pub in particular?
Aye, the Wasp's Nest on Burner Street, I think. A seedy spot even by our standards.
Do you happen to know Annie Chapman, the poor woman who was killed 3 days ago?
Dark Annie? Like all the drifters in the area, I've seen her once or twice. With respect to the dead, Annie really was the bottom of the barrel.
What do you mean?
Well, in our profession, the pretty young ones go out when night has barely fallen and don't have a problem finding takers. But poor girls like Annie or Polly Nichols, who aren't as tender and are often sick, sometimes trudge around for a whole night in the cold and the rain before landing a client. And that doesn't help their appearances either. They don't have much choice about paying for a bed for a few hours, a glass of gin or a hot meal.
How terribly sad.
That's the price of survival in Whitechapel, my angel. One of my girls knew Annie for some time. They bought some jewellery on the black market, I think.
Jewellery? How could Annie Chapman have possibly afforded jewellery?
Luxuries for a woman are always relative to her condition, Doctor. As a matter of fact, it was real cheap junk. Annie got 3 assorted brass rings, I think. It's been said I have a memory for jewellery.
How is Lucy keeping?
She's doing well, Doctor, but believe me, it won't last. Rare are the girls who can build a future in our profession.
Very well, I shall let you get back to work, Ma.
See you soon, my love.
Best not to stray off in that direction.
Now time to chat, I've got business, got it?
I don't get a pension no more, and the landlord wants to toss me out. Come, my lord, a little coin? Oi! Berner Street. The Wasp's Nest. This pub looks even more disreputable than the Golden Lion in Baker Street. Good evening. Would you happen to have seen a Dr. Tumblety? A man of a certain age dressed in a flamboyant manner.
If you're looking for some company, Gov, you've come to the wrong place. Me? I'm just here to pour. I don't care who you is, I knows nothing, and I don't care neither.
Good evening, sir.
It'll be the coup of my career, Governor said. Ha! You'll make loads of doss of the paper, he said.
You're a journalist?
That's so. Tom Bulling at your service. The Whitechapel ferret, the wizard with the scoop.
You don't appear to be in a state to write anything, my friend.
You're mistaken. Whiskey passes through the blood and turns into ink. Simple. You see, mugs and inkwells are all the same.
Don't you think you should settle your tab and go home?
My red ink? Where's my red ink? I won't even pay half a halfpenny if they don't return my red ink. It's my blood you hear.
Very well, I'll be on my way. Greetings, my good man. Could I have a pint?
Here, Gov.
I've been told that Dr. Tumblety might be found around here. Is that so?
I don't do a roll call of all the drunkards here. I've got my hands full just making sure I get their money.
Don't people pay when they order?
Nah, look at that little scribbler there. Completely dead drunk. Tonight's tally is about as long as his arm. If he skips out, I'll be in for a guinea almost.
Goodbye, my friend.
Oi, that's it.
This is the sink where the barmaid puts the glasses to soak. Look, red ink. What's that doing here? The bottle is closed. There must still be some ink inside, and it looks like a glass. The barmaid must have put ink into the sink by mistake.
Right, do I get in your way? Me?
If you'll excuse me, sir.
Hey, you can't go in there, it's private, got it? Leave me alone. I bet this miserable act, the bloke that mopes there, will do a runner and leave me with the unpaid bill.
What's behind that locked door over there? Can I go in?
Not likely. And let me be unless you're wanting a drink, got it?
Goodbye, my friend.
Oi, that's it.
You're the best. The boss told me. My red ink. Where's she be?
I found your red ink, my friend. You should settle up and head home.
Thank you, my friend, thank you. The spring-heeled phantom will be revived.
Gov?
Here you go. It's on the journalist, my friend.
I owe you one. The next one is on me. What'll it be?
Nothing, thanks. But I may need your help. Goodbye, my friend.
Oi, that's it.
Good evening, sir.
Well, I know you. Why, we met at Miss Poolman's the other day. So you've come to slum it in Whitechapel, eh?
Do you know Dr. Tumblety? A Canadian or American chap. Quite an extravagant dresser. frequents this pub now and then.
Are you intimate?
No. What do you mean by that?
Oh, nothing at all. I just wanted to prove my discretion concerning this man, in so much and so far as I know him. You wouldn't like it if one day the tables were turned and everyone was talking about why you were in the borough. Isn't that so?
As it happens, I saw Miss Pullman recently. She told me that she couldn't wait to see you again. She said something about a surprise that is waiting for you at her establishment.
Why, that is some of the best news I've heard, my friend. As thanks, I would like to let you in on a secret. The man that you were talking about, and whom I happen to know by sight, passed by and went through that little door that you see over there. Another man let him in. They weren't together for more than a few minutes, to be sure, eh?
Well, I will continue my search.
Ah, love.
But what is this person trying to imply? This matter is beyond me.
Gov?
Listen, my friend, I would like you to let me in the door over there.
You're a bobby? A peeler?
Absolutely not, my friend. I am a doctor.
Fine. I owe you this at least. There's a bloke behind that door there. No pity Bluto. Let's just say he wants to lay low for a moment. So I don't think he'll be opening the door just now. Unless... Tell him you have word from Squibby. They'll open the door. But who can say what'll happen when the door closes?
Goodbye, my friend.
Oi! That's it!
Let me in. I have news from Squibby. But stay calm.
And who are you? Where's Squibby? He's out.
To be honest, I don't actually know this Squibby chap. I was actually wondering if you knew Dr. Tumblety, a Canadian or American fellow. He came in...
Sure we know him.
Excellent. Can you...
You know about gas?
I'm afraid not. I am a doctor.
Then I ain't interested. You can be leaving now. But if I find out who snitched to the peelers, I'll find you. Got it?
But I can pay you for...
Keep your coins for the paupers, or one of the gas boys who ain't afraid of nothing and knows how to hold his tongue. You bring him to me, I'll meet with you.
There is a strong smell of gas. It seems to be coming from the abandoned building. There is a strong smell of gas. It seems to be coming from the abandoned building. Good evening, Finlay. How are you?
Oh, good evening, Doctor. So. And you?
It smells of gas here.
You might say, Doctor, without wanting to speak ill of the force, I have to wonder if the police are up to something.
What do you mean?
Well, I was outside yesterday evening when the light went out at my place, and a gas smell came from the abandoned building across from my place. And a minute later, the police arrived and was snooping all around like it was them who hid the gas before arriving.
Have things sorted themselves out with your strange tenant?
Don't talk about it, Doctor. That man is truly bizarre. He goes to the most sordid locations once night falls. 3 days ago, my wife told me she saw him come in with blood-stained clothes and a fearsome look.
Interesting. What does he look like, and how old is he?
Oh, he's my age, give or take, so the other side of 50. He's always dressed in a striking manner, with an American hat. He's big, close to 5'11", I'd say. He has a strange voice, not just his accent, see, his voice.
Very well. Goodbye for now, Finlay.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Now then, let's go to the police station. tell me, is it...
Now time to chat, I've got business, got it?
Yes, Doctor. Tumblety is a man around 5'11", about 55 years old, extravagantly dressed and with a rather distinctive voice. He boards at Finley's. You should know where that is, as the police were there only yesterday. Their arrival coincided with a strange gas leak.
Ah, yes, I know where you mean. Indeed, there was an odd affair with the gas. It was rather unsettling. We were searching for a well-known scoundrel who was ratted out by Squibby, the chap we followed and saved from the pack a few days ago. This thug, no pity Bluto, must have been in the abandoned building in question. But there was no sign of him when we arrived. Furthermore, an inspector said that, given the smell, the thingamabob that supplies gas to the building was probably damaged. So we took no risks and were called away somewhere else.
I will take my leave, Humphreys.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Well, it would seem that I have all the information I need for my investigation. Anyway, this fellow Bluto at the Wasp's Nest is rather shady and doesn't look like he'll want to cooperate. I'd be better off returning to Baker Street. Holmes will certainly know what to do. And besides, I am worn out. Closed. Let's go back to Baker Street. Home, sweet home. There we are, Holmes. I've told you in great detail everything that happened last night.
Excellent work, Watson. We shall now be prepared to answer a few questions about the horrible murder in Hanbury Street.
Do you think we are now in a position to find out the identity of the murderer of these two women?
No, I don't think so. It's outside of our scope and not our responsibility. As much as you've done for Leather Apron and the affair with the pills, our mission is to help the police by ensuring that they don't get caught up following false leads and to point them in the right direction. Let us start from what we know with some certitude. As you have just said, it is almost certain that the same person killed the Bucks Row and Hanbury Street victims. The reason to assume as much are numerous, and I shan't elaborate here. What do these two victims have in common?
It's true these two women were in the same profession, but...
Indeed, Watson. These two women were both prostitutes. That is of vital importance, Watson.
My memory from your examination of the scene is rather hazy. Didn't you say something about the killer's frame of mind?
I was talking about the victim's possessions that were placed on the ground and the rings missing from Annie Chapman's fingers. This killer is a cunning predator, comes from a rather humble background and shows steely self-control in carrying out the murders.
Something is puzzling me, Holmes. Richardson's testimony contradicts the time of death given by Dr. Phillips, which also matches my own, 4:30 a.m.
And yes, we shall confirm that, Watson, and attempt to determine the precise time of death. In order to do that, we will need to place everyone involved on a timeline. Only after that will we be able to place the knife symbolizing our killer. Let's look at our timeline, Watson. Let's put the time of death as assessed by Dr. Phillips on the timeline. The assessment of the time of the murder given by Dr. Phillips and yourself, Watson, 4:30 a.m. Now, for the most important part, the testimony of Miss Long. She claims to have seen a woman speaking to a man near 29 Hanbury Street sometime around... What time, Watson? Let us assume, therefore, that Miss Long's testimony is, as is most certainly the case, true. She places her meeting with the victim at around 5:30, claiming to have heard a clock chime on the half hour at the moment when she enters the street. Now, let's put the Richardsons' arrival and departure times on the timeline. Now, let's put the Richardsons' arrival and departure times on the timeline. Despite the great respect I have for Dr. Phillips and the value I place on our friendship, my deepest conviction is that both of you are mistaken and that Richardson is in the right and that these two testimonies put down in writing have real worth.
But how? Explain yourself, Holmes.
Remember how you assessed the time of death. You touched the fingers and body of the victim, but it was remarkably cold for this time of year. In addition, the corpse had been drained of bodily fluids. Its heat retention was therefore no longer the same as that of an intact corpse.
Egad! You're right, Holmes.
Oh, I've had some time to research, Watson.
Given these facts, my first diagnosis may have been off by half an hour, perhaps even an hour.
Thus, we can confirm Richardson's statement and establish that the murder was committed after 4:50 a.m. and not before 4:30 a.m. Our next witness is Albert Kadosh. Albert Kadosh goes down into his garden at approximately 5:20 and on re-entering his home hears voices in number 29's garden. Let's place this symbol that represents Kadosh on the timeline. Kadosh goes back down into his garden approximately 4 minutes after having left it and hears the sound of an impact against the wooden fence. Let's place this symbol that represents Kadosh on the timeline. Kadosh leaves the garden, enters his house, then leaves for work, seeing the clock on the Spitalfields church showing 5:32. He left the station at 6 o'clock and it took us 20 minutes to arrive at Hanbury Street. Our arrival at the scene occurred at around 6:20. Given the distance separating the two locations, we can deduce that the corpse wasn't discovered after 6 o'clock and therefore that the murder must have been committed before. Excellent, Watson. All our people are now in place.
Yes, but Holmes, Miss Long claims to have seen the victim at around 5:30. But according to Kadosh, someone, most certainly the victim and her murderer, was already in the garden at 5:30.
Excellent observation, Watson. It must be noted, however, that these two witnesses, Long and Kadosh, saw the time shown on the clocks in the area, which are often inaccurate and went by their empirical and, in this case, erroneous estimate of how much time had passed. Thus, neither of these two times can be considered reliable.
Do you mean to say that these two testimonies might match?
Indeed. Let's put Miss Long's meeting with the victim at 2 minutes before 5:30. Let's add Miss Long's meeting with the victim at 2 minutes before 5:30 a.m. Mr. Kadosh claims to have passed by the Spitalfields church at 5:32, which, given the distance from 27 Hanbury Street, would mean he was still at home at 5:31. Let's therefore put the end of his testimony at 5:31. Miss Long heard the man say to the victim, "Will you?" To which the victim responded yes, which would suggest that an agreement was reached and that the transaction was imminent. They then proceeded to enter the garden, which puts the voices heard by Kadosh at 5:29. We had thought that Kadosh had left 27 Hanbury Street at 5:31 after having heard an impact against the fence. Thus, 2 minutes passed between the moment when Kadosh entered the house after having been in the garden the first time and the moment when he returns to go out again and leave for work. How long did he estimate this interval to be? 3 to 4 minutes. In light of all this, Watson, we can finally establish the time of Chapman's murder. Now, place the knife at the exact time. Now then, taking into account that the local clock isn't exact and that a young man was off by a minute or two in his estimations of his comings and goings, we can confirm Miss Long's testimony and place the time of the crime at approximately 5:30.
But in that case, Holmes, the man that Miss Long saw is none other than...
That's right, Watson. It was the Whitechapel killer.
To think that Miss Long and Kadosh were only a few feet away from him.
Indeed, Watson. Had Miss Long passed just a little closer to the victim and her assassin, or had the young Kadosh popped his head over the fence out of curiosity, the killer would most certainly already be behind bars.
That's some stroke of luck he had there.
I couldn't agree more, Watson. But his luck didn't end there, given the mutilations inflicted upon this poor woman. What must be considered above all is the killer's obvious wish to remove one and only one specific organ. His surgery pinpointed the exact spot, avoiding superfluous incisions. This suggests the man possesses at least a minimal anatomical knowledge.
Are you suggesting a doctor or a butcher?
Perhaps, but the possibilities are still too broad to conclude with any certainty. Now for the motive. Despite my almost complete lack of practical experience on the subject, I have a rather precise idea of the usefulness of a uterus and a vagina. Nonetheless, once they are separated from their usual envelope, I am more circumspect as to the uses one can make of them. What do you think, Watson? We need a board, Watson.
Black magic?
Watson, this line of investigation is far too vague. We don't have a single clue in support of such a motive. We can eliminate this hypothesis.
Perhaps it was intended as a study specimen.
I have little faith in that theory. Hardly anything was taken from the Bucks Row victim.
Money, quite simply.
Even if this motive seems incongruous, we're in no position to deny or affirm it until we know whether a market for human organs exists.
A desire for some sort of morbid trophy.
I'd be inclined to dismiss this motive. If this were the case, why would nothing have been removed from the Bucks Row victim?
Holmes, what if it was cannibalism?
Even if the idea is unbearable, we can't ignore it as a possibility. Elementary. What emerges from these possible motives for having removed the uterus from the second victim is that they implied that the killer could have carried out the same thing on the Bucks Row victim, yet didn't. This brings us to a terrible conclusion. Our killer has evolved in the space of only a few days, and if that's the case, had he already struck before the first murder to which we attribute him? And if the killer strikes again, what atrocity awaits his next victim?
We have to stop him, Holmes.
We shall do our best. This recent business of jars filled with formalin and of the American doctor might be a lead. Watson, inquire among medical circles to ascertain if there is a black market for human organs. The chances are slim, but this must be pursued.
Very well. What about you, Holmes?
I will send word to Inspector Aberline regarding our recent conclusions. I should also like to become a gas man and pay a visit to Bluto at the Wasp's Nest.
Understood, Holmes. I think one of my old university colleagues who works at the London hospital will be able to help me. I shall write him a note at once. He should be able to see me during the day. Afterwards, shall we meet here?
Yes, Watson. See you later, and good luck.
I must get to the London hospital, where my old university colleague works. I must get to the London hospital, where my old university colleague works. To the London hospital, quick! My colleague agreed to meet me here in one of the London hospital rooms reserved for students.
Ah, John, you're there already. Punctual as always. Tell me, you don't seem to be in good shape. Is it possible that your recent marriage is making you this morose?
Ah, you know me well, Andrew. No, it's a strange and terrible affair that concerns me. Have you read my note?
Yes, I admit that I was surprised. It just so happens that I, too, was asking questions about our morgue.
What do you think? Have you heard of any organ trafficking within?
No, John. No doubt there exists some exchange between colleagues. Not quite legal, of course, but nothing that can qualify as trafficking. Since the Anatomy Act of 1832, which permitted the use of unclaimed corpses for science, the black market trade was definitely halted. There are sufficient subjects available for all practitioners and students. Of this I can confirm.
Well, organ trafficking as a lucrative trade is out of the question. Then what is troubling you with the morgue?
You are talking about trafficking organs, but I suspect there is trade in whole bodies.
What do you mean to say? Whole bodies are disappearing?
Well, it's confidential, but I know of your discretion and your friendship with the famous Sherlock Holmes. I can tell you that a few corpses have recently disappeared from the hospital morgue. Cadavers that were intended for dissection. That is to say, not claimed, poor, unknown people. If a single corpse had disappeared, it might have been a bad joke. There are many students who pass through here. It's even a meeting spot. For the majority, they are here to work. A few come here in secret to practice. It also happens that instruments or organs go missing. Nothing alarming, but so many corpses. It's very troubling.
But the hospital doctors aren't doing anything?
No. That is to say, they would prefer not to call the police at this point. An investigation would no doubt result in the suspension of authorizations for the use of unclaimed corpses. Do you think that you could intercede on our behalf with Sherlock Holmes to clear up this situation?
Which corpses are missing?
I don't know exactly, but I can make an exact list if you would like to wait here for a few minutes. Feel free to look around the room while you wait. It'll bring back memories.
Thank you, Andrew. It's here that students come to carry out their experiments. This surgical instrument resembles a screwdriver. How amusing. It might come in handy. I will return it later. It's here that students come to carry out their experiments. This rag is full of grease. It certainly wasn't used for a dissection. Was someone doing some mechanical work here? The last lesson must have been about the human heart. And for a class of beginners, I expect, as this diagram is rather rudimentary. An encyclopedia of anatomy. A page on the human heart is dog-eared. Let's see. It's here that students come to carry out their experiments. There is a heart in this jar. Based on its colouring, it hasn't been there long, and it looks like the drawing on the board. This jar contains 2 lids with combination locks. These wheeled trolleys are very handy for laying out surgical instruments. This wheel won't roll despite all of the added grease. Curious, as Holmes would say. A message. I'll be... Why the devil was it hidden here?
Ethan Levy, 7 anos de idade, filho de Sarah e Jacob Levy, hospitalizado em 18 de maio. Sífilis, estágio avançado. Possivelmente um assunto iminente. Monitorar com cuidado. O ímã está no coração. Use a borda.
An old prescription. Poor child, so young, yet terminally ill. Strange, someone scrawled something. Part of it is in Latin. These are instructions, it would seem. There is a heart in this jar. This jar contains 2 lids with combination locks. Look, there was a bit of paper stuck between the 2 lids. Incredible! Someone has hidden a magnet in this heart. But to what end? Incredible! There is a magnet with a hook behind this pane of glass. I am in need of something. There, all done. Holmes couldn't have done better himself. A hole. I can make out something inside, but how to get it out? I will need a hook. I found it. A coded message. I do believe I will need Holmes.
Here is the list, John. The missing corpses are those of a woman, 40 years old, beginning of August, another, 55 years old, 2 weeks ago, and recently, a young woman. These corpses had nothing in common except that they didn't have any apparent lesions.
All of this is very troubling. Well, I think that I have all of the information possible, and I promise that I will do what I can to clear up this business. I must leave you, my friend, and...
In the name of our friendship,
Please, don't cause a stir.
To be sure. Thanks again, Andrew.
it is I who must thank you, John. Don't forget to keep me up to date and say hello to your charming wife for me.
Count on me, Andrew.
I must go to the Wasp's Nest to find this rogue that Watson dubbed Bluto. He may be able to provide information on Dr. Tumblety. This lead, although tenuous, is well worth following. I must return to Whitechapel, but it would be better if I did so incognito. This should do the trick. Let's go. Let's go to the Wasp's Nest.
Oi, what'll it be to drink, Gav?
What'll it be?
I have nothing to ask. There's something here. Old Tongue. There's something here. I need something. There's something here. I see a jewel. It's fallen between the floorboards. A Hebrew inscription. Going by the length of the chain, it must belong to a child. Hello there. You looking for a gas man?
You really a gasser? You sure it isn't a bobby?
Well, if you don't need me, I'll be on my way then. I've already been paid up.
Stay. Who paid you?
A doctor, Marston, I think he was. He told me you'd talk to me about a foreigner, name of Tumblety, if I did you a favour.
Right, mate, might happen.
What is it you need me to do, then?
Listen to me. At the end of Whitechapel, there's an abandoned dump of a house. Opposite Finley's boarding house. Upstairs in the mess where the gas pipes are, you'll find a sack with something heavy inside. If you look in, you'll regret it here. You find it, you bring it here, and you don't tell a soul, right?
Got it. And then you'll tell me about this Tumblety so that I can report back to the doc?
Yeah, doctors know people. And since you is here, it's because he'll move mountains for his American. Me, I don't know much. But you can tell him that he'll have to talk to Squibby. He seems to know lots about plenty. When you come back with a sack, I'll tell you what he needs to tell Squibby so that he snitches on the yank to him. Believe me, mate, it's as explosive as 10 miles worth of gas in your damn pipes.
Right then, I'm off.
Go. Give me some air.
I could arrange for the police to come down here and arrest this thug, but he seems pretty tough and would probably be a lot less cooperative than if I play along. It's best I handle this myself, including meeting the mysterious Squibby. On this poster is written, Club for Socialist Jews, the Cradle of Liberty. Interesting. It's the abandoned house that Bluto pointed out to me. He must have set up his hideout there. There's a strange smell coming from this old building. Good day, Finley.
Good day, sir. Have we met before?
It's me, Sherlock Holmes, but I don't want it to be known that I'm here. Can I count on you?
Certainly, Mr. Holmes. I shall be as silent as the grave.
Your tenant, Dr. Tumblety, is he here?
I don't think so, but go and find out.
It would seem we've been having some gas problems.
Don't talk to me about it. The problem is from the abandoned house not far from here, but nobody has come to take care of it.
Perhaps I could go and take a look. Do you have a ladder?
No, but I think in the pile of wood under the stairs there is one in pieces. And if you also need something from the scrap heap, some old tools or who knows what, feel free to take it, Mr. Holmes, but leave the dishes in good condition.
Thank you, and goodbye.
Goodbye, Mr. Holmes.
This lead pipe could help me to repair the gas lines. A broken hammer, I will have to find a handle. Part of a perfume atomizer. This old cloth could be used as a mask. I must moisten my makeshift mask. Some old nails, they may come in handy. This lead pipe could help me to repair the gas lines. Finley's ladder is smashed to pieces, but all the parts appear to be here. This must be a piece of the ladder. This lead pipe could help me to repair the gas lines. This must be a piece of the ladder. This must be a piece of the ladder. This must be a piece of the ladder. Part of a perfume atomizer. A heap of rusted iron crockery. There, this damp cloth will do for a mask. I hope this ladder will support my weight. Let's go. My cloth mask won't make much difference, but I'll be able to inspect the room for a few seconds. The leak must have been sudden. Even the animals didn't have time to escape. A small torch, a useful tool for opening safes, I would assume, but the gas bottle is empty. The leak must have been sudden. Even the animals didn't have time to escape. Someone left here in a hurry, presumably because of the gas leak. This iron bar will help me. The leak must have been sudden. Even the animals didn't have time to escape. I need something. The leak is coming from here. The satchel is behind these pipes. This explains why the thug wanted someone who knew about gas. He must have hidden it there in great haste and broke the pipes in the process. The satchel seems to be quite stuck. I don't think I can get it out without passing out for good. I need a more suitable mask. The kind used by tanners would do nicely.
How is your investigation going, Mr. Holmes?
I'll be needing a mask of the sort tanners use. Do you know where...
Go check in the little lane across from the clinic. At the cobbler's, perhaps.
Thank you, and goodbye.
Goodbye, Mr. Holmes.
How do, sir?
Hello. I'm sorry to say, but I'm closing.
This man seems wary. I must find a way to win his confidence. How do, sir?
Hello. I'm sorry to say, but I'm closing.
I am here because I found this.
Abraham's beard. The son of one of my neighbors was beaten in the street a few weeks ago and it was stolen from him. If you would give it to me, I promise to return it to him and get you a reward.
Money doesn't interest me.
Who are you, sir? And what do you want from me?
I'm a friend of Dr. Watson's. You know him, don't you?
In that case, welcome. Dr. Watson is a great man, and I would be pleased to help one of his friends.
You work the leather and perhaps even tan it yourself. I believe tanners wear special masks to protect themselves from the toxic emissions given off by the vats used to soak the leather. I have a gas leak to fix, and I won't survive without something effective to protect myself with.
Go see my cousin Abraham, who has a pet shop a little further down the road. Tell him that Isaac sent you. That's me.
I'll be off now.
My regards to Dr. Watson.
Excuse me, my good man.
What are you looking for? Chicks? Opium? Girl? Sailor?
This is a pet shop. This is a pet shop. Hello, sir.
Hello.
You must be Abraham Solomonovich. I came on behalf of your cousin, Isaac. He said that you might be able to help me. I need a good mask to protect me from gas emissions so I can repair a leak.
Yes, it should help you. But I let it drop into the big snake cage, and they are very dangerous beasts. I don't know how to retrieve it.
But you must be equipped to deal with these creatures safely, surely.
Of course, but I broke my hook. It should be over there. If you succeed in getting that beast from its cage, you will be doing me a great favor.
I have the broken hook. I can repair it, but I'll need some materials. Perhaps I'll find some material at Isaac's that will be of use. This cage must do to hold the snake. Perhaps I'll find some material at Isaac's that will be of use. I need a few items for your cousin Abraham. May I borrow them for you?
Of course. You're welcome.
This should do the trick. This should do the trick. This may come in handy. This cage will do the trick. The mesh is small enough. There we are. Magnificent. If I may ask, why is it you have such equipment?
I haven't always had a pet shop, my friend. I was a butcher for many years. But I wasn't serious enough to be a real meat man, and I was looked down upon in the community. I found myself carting carcasses from the slaughterhouse, a repugnant job in which you catch vile illnesses, and it breaks you before you're out of your 30s. Thus I had the idea to make this mask with a sort of filter, and it worked. Since then, I have quit that work, and with my little savings, I started this business. I lived through the deaths of thousands of animals. Now I am devoted to their lives. If you are interested, I could sell you a little canary, for example.
No, thank you. Let's return to the boarding house. The satchel, rather heavy and firmly wedged. Dislodging it will take a concerted effort and is better done in a safe environment. I must repair this leak before I can get the satchel out. Elementary. This much-talked-about satchel is very heavy and seems to contain metal dishes. I told Bluto that I wouldn't look inside, but I've little need to. It's quite obvious that it's full of silverware. There is still gas in here. Looking at the state of this cat, it won't survive much longer if it stays here. Let's go to the wasp's nest. Let's go to the wasp's nest. Full of crockery, the satchel makes the same noise and weighs about the same as if it were filled with silverware.
Pass the sack to me. Did you look in?
I give you my word, but it won't belong to you until you tell me where Squibby is.
Fine. The poor idiot was taken by the peelers the other day. I don't know why some chap started to screech about it. He was the Whitechapel killer, but he ended up followed by an hysterical mob. In a flash, the bobbies had him rounded up and locked down.
Do you mean at the local police station?
Might not. But if you or the doc talk to him, tell him that about the kayak business. I'll forget our score if he rats on the yank. He'll know. Now, hand over the bag.
I say, that's all a little bit wishy-washy. I'm not sure it's worth the satchel.
Hey, don't shake it like that, moron. If you don't want to end up with a knife in the back, you'll get busy with the pipe. Got it?
Here, take it. That'll teach me for being a good Samaritan. Honestly, how rude. I'd best be off now. Better to not be around when he opens the satchel.
Hey, look! It's Mr. Detective. It's...
Shh, I'm undercover on a special mission. Don't blow my cover.
Aye, aye, Captain. We won't let it slip.
Now, what are you doing in this area at such an hour? You are far from home, aren't you?
We've come to give Pounce a hand. About his cat, you know. Downstairs round is a nasty old lady Big Danny lives. She threatens to kill Pounce's cat, 'cause she's allergic, or so she says. And it makes it cough and vomit just by seeing one.
Allergic?
Oh, that's it. She stoned Pounce and his cat yesterday, and the poor thing took off and hasn't been seen again. We've been looking for it, but nothing.
Does that cat there belong to Pounce?
Bert! That's my Bertie!
Be careful, he is injured. Let's take him to the pet shop. We might be able to take care of him. Let's go to the pet shop, children. If you all go in at once, you'll scare the animals. Pounce, come with me. Everyone else, stay here.
What can I do for you?
I have come to return your mask.
Ah, thank you. If you need something else, do not hesitate.
May I present young Pounce and his cat, Bert. Poor Bert, he's been injured.
It's Big Danny who threw a cobblestone at him.
Big Danny? Danny the Jaw? The terror of the Highlands?
Oi, that's her, mister.
You know this lady?
Lady is not the appropriate word. Fury, more likely. Danny is a night worker. Before that, she performed in a circus where she fought against men for a penny a round. It was said that she never lost a fight.
Is there anything you can do for poor Bert?
I don't know. This cat seems to be in a sorry state. I have a book on cats over there. Can you find it while I look at its wound?
Yes.
Spartaca Enciclopédia. Animais. Todos os gatos são irresistivelmente atraídos por valeriana, capon's tail, ou rabo de gato. Basta carregar uma pequena quantidade e uma pessoa será imediatamente atraída. A maioria dos gatos errantes selvagens. Uma pessoa será imediatamente atrairá a maioria dos gatos errantes selvagens. Tradução desse jogo.
Aha! This must be the cat book Abraham needs.
What can I do for you?
Here is the book on cats.
Thank you, my man. I will see what I can do for this cat.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, sir.